Welcome to the Silver Report Uncut. Tough times ahead. They're calling for blackouts. This is something that I've seen across the board, and I anticipate we're going to begin to see it soon. We also know the food prices, they've been going crazy recently. There's a very real reason for that, and a very real reason why it's not going to be solved anytime soon. I just wanted to also say, we're back on Telegram. Come over and follow us there, guys. It's t.me/Silver Report. I've been trying to post on there and keep you updated with my situation. We're also on Instagram, instagram.com/Silver Report. We've gone through a lot of changes here, and I've gone through a lot of changes recently, but also the show is listener-supported. So it's guys like you, and I thank you guys all who do support the show, but it's people like you that help keep the Silver Report Uncut coming. I thank you so much. We wouldn't be here without you, and if you want to help out and you want to join in, you can just check the description down below. There's going to be different ways you can do that. Some of the best ways would be PayPal, or Cash App is actually the best, and cryptocurrencies, things like that, seeing how I still haven't regained access to any of my old life, I guess. It's like a turning point for me when the hackers came in and took over a certain section of my life, and I can't replace it from here. So either way, if you want to help out, there are some very easy ways to do that. We also have the Buy Me a Coffee. You can do that as well. You can support monthly. You can support just with one time. So please consider supporting the channel. But let's get right in and expose some of this darkness before some people are caught off guard. So one of the most shocking things that could be taking place here across Europe, it happens to be the power cuts. What's going on with the bankruns in Germany right now. Things are getting very severe. Now, while the governments, they're attempting to try to keep calm for now, I think they're kind of beginning to stew this panic. And Europe, it's maintained a generally optimistic front ahead of this coming cold winter. It's signaling, of course, right now that it has more than enough gas in storage to compensate for the loss of the supplies that they have cut off. Now, they're planning for this worst-case scenario, or what they're going to do, and they don't want you to know is their fault, but their largest economy is Germany, and they're quietly preparing for a worst-case scenario that includes angry mobs of people coming against the government buildings, the bankruns, blackouts that would prevent the population from accessing cash, and starving. All of this, they said, would drive people to madness and, of course, would cause all types of chaos. Now, this isn't the only place they're preparing for this. It's also the UK and the US. And you should ask yourself, if their actions, they believe, will lead to a total breakdown of society and angry mobs, bank runs, all-out chaos, death, why would they take those actions? Why would they want that to happen in, of course, the most powerful economy in Europe? Now, according to Reuters, they cited 4 sources that the German authorities have increased preparations for emergency cash deliveries, so they're going to attempt to pay the people not to do all of this stuff. But we also know this as UBI, Universal Basic Income, something that they've been attempting to implement for quite some time, and now, because of their new crisis, they might just get that. So they have these emergency cash deliveries in the event of this blackout, or blackouts, that will keep the economy going, and the country will be prepared for probable power outages caused by this conflict to begin very soon. The measures would include the Bundesbank stockpiling additional billions to deal with the increase in demand. Also, the potential withdrawal limitations to prevent anyone from getting access to too much cash. All of this is very scary. It's quite alarming. It seems like preparations for a grand conflict, a civil conflict, one where they will limit the access of people to their cash. They're going to have all of their power out so they can't call or communicate with one another. Communications will be down. We've seen all types of chaos recently. Just wait till you see a person whose money has just been frozen. Their power is out. There's no food in the stores. Wait till you see what type of a person they will become. And then you'll begin to reanalyze which of your neighbors are truly your friends and who knows too much. I've brought this up several times, and I hate to, kind of paint a world like that, where we can't trust each other or be kind or allow ourselves to be vulnerable, but right now we cannot. Evil people are controlling this entire operation, and it's about to get very ugly. And it's, of course, going to be over the winter. According to additional sources reporting on preparations, this has escalated in recent weeks after the gas supplies were disrupted even further, and officials and banks, they're looking not just at origination or money printing, but also distribution. They're contemplating, for example, the preferential gasoline access for cash carriers. The central bank, its financial market regulator, BaFin, and numerous financial sector organizations are involved in the planning, and also, according to Reuters, Most of these, they spoke on condition of anonymity regarding the confidential and evolving plans. And although the German authorities have publicly downplayed the likelihood of a blackout and the bank runs, for obvious reasons, they don't want you to go ahead and be prepared. They want to make sure you do not have enough money right now, so when these bank runs and blackouts begin, you can't be okay. They don't want you to be okay. The discussions, they demonstrate how seriously they are taking this and how they are preparing for these crippling power outages caused by the soaring energy cost and even what they say will be future sabotage. They're highlighting the growing repercussions from this conflict, which has depended on the cheap energy from that region for decades. But now they're confronting double-digit inflation and the danger of disruption from fuel and energy shortages. And as anyone who studied recent history of the Weimar Republic, access to cash is especially important for people in that region. They value the security and anonymity of cash, and they tend to use it more than other European countries. Some are still hoarding Deutschmarks that were replaced by euros more than 2 decades ago. According to the recent Bundesbank survey, 60% of ordinary German transactions are paid in cash, and Germans withdraw more than 6,600 euros yearly on average, mostly from cash machines. A legislative study from a decade ago warned of discontent and aggressive altercations if locals couldn't get their hands on cash during a blackout. In other words, if cash withdrawals are halted, their entire society will rip itself apart and come to a halt. And at the start of this crisis in March 2020, there was a rush for cash. Germans withdrew $20 billion more than euros than they deposited. 20 billion euros more than they deposited. And that was a first, and it went off without a hitch. However, if these potential blackouts, which they say will range across the entire nation and begin in the winter, they raise additional worries about the conceivable situations, and policymakers are closely monitoring the situation as Europe's biggest energy problem, it worsens and the winter approaches. So this is the most affluential economy in all of Europe. They have the most money, they are the most well prepared, and they are about to rip themselves apart. What do you think is going to happen for the rest of the entire zone? Do you think they'll be unaffected if only one of the countries go through this? Well, again, the heartbreaking news flash here. The UK was preparing for this a couple months ago. They had policy out for their armed forces to begin to prepare how to subdue the people, the population, in the event that they're angry, that they no longer have heat for their homes in the winter and they begin to freeze to death, lose family from starvation and malnutrition. And so they wanted to prepare the people to have weapons ready to ensure they keep control over the population during this tumultuous time. I know that's an odd way to word it, but I want to do it that way because, number one, I'm dramatic and you guys love drama. And number two, that's exactly what they're doing, but they're wording it in a way that is trying to mask what their true intention is. Now, my greatest concern is the fact that this is coming. Of course it's coming. They're not just preparing. I mean, they have all of these exercises well in advance. They have all of these exercises, so when it begins to go off, they try to limit the amount of hindrances that would stop some of their plans. They definitely got together a few months before all of this began. They got together and they planned out what would they do in the event that a global sickness were to come out, and they planned it to a T. They designed the exact infirmity in sickness. I don't want to talk about it too much on here, but they planned what they would do with the media, what they would do if there were, in fact, rulers or leaders in the world that would resist, what they would do about information, how they would stop people from communicating. They went through all of that, and as soon as it kicked off, they implemented all of what they prepared for. So if these powerful people are getting together and they're preparing for blackouts that are going to cover the entire world, for example, in America, planning for Texas, a lot of the southern United States, and they're going to go and, they're planning for this in the UK, planning for this in Germany now. No doubt they're planning for it in other countries as well. They're not just planning, in my opinion, because these things are going to happen. If they happen, then it wasn't planning. It was completely and totally open sabotage. And I wish that more people could begin to realize this. If more people did realize this, we could be halfway to a solution. Goodness, and I think some of the problems that are going to result in this is this chaos. The people breaking into their neighbors' homes and taking their life in order to get a box of macaroni and cheese, this kind of thing. It's going to result in people demanding security, demanding that life be returned to normal by force. They're going to demand that there be troops in the street to stop the chaos. They're going to demand that the government begin to hand out food and begin to hand out universal basic income. They're going to demand that they come in and they just stop these criminals. And to do that, they're going to need to make sure everybody who's on the street is going to need to be identified. We're going to need to know who is walking around outside of your house. We're going to need to know all of these things to make sure everybody's safe and it never happens again. And that's going to probably be one of the mottos. Never again. And, moving forward, everything that they're going to do in regards to security, because the state provides terrible security. The security provided by the state is normally dictatorships. They provide you with more weapons on the street to make sure their will is imposed and no one can do anything about it. That's what they mean by security. And more security means less and less freedom. Freedom is not what caused this problem. I just wanted to kind of elaborate on that. Freedom did not cause your suffering. Freedom did not cause your husband to lose their job. Freedom did not cause you to lose your house, your car. Freedom did not do any of this to you. Freedom actually was what enabled you to have so many wonderful things, and it enabled you to live in a world where you could actually smile and have a nice time. Because with a lack of freedom comes in a lack of choice, a lack of ability to prosper. In a lot of these nations where they implement these systems where the people lose control and freedom and sovereignty, then you end up with just going to a factory, working all day, every day. If you have that kind of a job, you might just be in a field where the guy who's running the field has a gun and everyone has to grow rice all day or something crazy like that. And a large part of the world is not free right now. They could care less about freedom. The people there hate freedom because all of the news and information they hear is from anti-freedom people. They think it's good to be enslaved. They think they are free and that they are prospering only because the systems of freedom are a danger to them and to the world and to the people there. They think that we're unhappy. All of the problems that people generally complain about in our economy, they're as a result of too much control, too much security. I mean, look at the Federal Trade Commission. You have all these people coming in, the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, these people that control the entire economy right now from a federal level. And you think freedom has done this to you. That your poverty is as a result of freedom, and that the riches of the wealthy is as a result of, this system. And it's wrong. You see, the people that are promoting anti-freedom movements are the people who have all the power, who have all the money. Why would the rich tell you to eat the rich when they are the rich? Did you think about it? Well, because they know that as soon as you begin to go down that road, you're going to no longer have any money, any means of defending yourself, any means of stopping them whatsoever, and then the rich will consume your entire life. They're going to take everything you own. You will own nothing, and then they're going to brainwash you daily just to try to convince you that you like it. That's what they do. They always do it. That's why they would want to implement a system where you think you're going to win. They want to make you fight with all your might for this victory that once you obtain it, you realize how much you have lost. It's unfortunate because by then, you're going to be old news, and your children who've been thoroughly programmed throughout this entire time in the schools, that they've been shown their badges to go through every door, asking yes sir, no sir to go through, and to do anything they ever want to do, they're going to be the ones who embrace this new society, and they're going to cast you out. They're going to send you off on a raft in the middle of the ocean, and they'll say you deserve it. Because that's what they do. They take your sons, they take your daughters, they have them worship the state, and they take away your authority to be able to do anything about it. And before you know it, it's your very children that are rising up, calling for your death. I thank you guys for stopping by and joining us. As always, stay free.